I think there's a reason why politicians do that. They would rather have people who have earned a living beholden to the politicians for giving them something, rather than look themselves in the mirror, private people looking in the mirror saying, I did this myself. My spouse and I started this business in lawn care, or in records, or in gardening, or in housing construction. We did it ourselves. That's where pride comes from. There's where community involvement comes from. But the difference is, you're not beholden. You're not licking the boot or licking the hand of some bureaucrat or some government person. I think they have a real fear of pride and independence. But that's the American way, is pride and independence.
And that's what the politicians in any town would like the businesses to succeed, where they had their fingers in there, where they're beholden to them. And that's where we come from our idea of economy to the kind of corporate welfare economy that we currently have and we live in. And people I don't think people understand that enough about our message, is that we want to make it possible for the little guy to make money too. Not take money from the rich guy and give it to the poor person, but make it possible for the little guy, for poor people, to make money. Make it easier for them to make more money quicker. And that's the solution. And
owning your own business is the fastest way to do this. Why do people choose to go into a business? Because they like what they're doing. Someone works for someone, they like the activity, and they say, I'd like to run a business in this area. Whether it's records, whether it's recordings, whether it's books, whether it's appliances, whether it's construction, whether it's a service business, I'd like to do this for myself. I'd like to be my own boss. I'd like to be the master of my fate, the captain of my own soul. And that's why people found businesses. And those are the people that serve their customers, are a pleasure to do business with, are a positive influence on the community, set a wonderful role model and example to young people that the way out of poverty is standing on your own 2 feet, taking your life into your own hands, and serving your customer.
If we could just get the government out of the way, maybe more people could do that. What has been rewarding for you? I mean, you've been a Libertarian Party activist now for many, many years. What's been the most rewarding thing for you in being involved in this movement?
The thing that I find most rewarding is the look in someone's eyes when they first hear the libertarian ideal. The belief that their life is their own, that your life, liberty, and property is yours, and that you ought to deal with others and others ought to deal with you voluntarily, by choice rather than force. Once they recognize the sacred value of each individual, once they get the libertarian idea, it's like watching the pinball circuits all light up. They get so excited, the possibilities, because they're taking an opportunity to be free. Not just politically free, but emotionally and mentally free, so they can consider ideas they've never considered in their life. These people turn out to be good neighbors, responsible people. And seeing that look in their eyes for the first time is like having your baby smile at you. And I remember the first time I gave that smile to someone else when they introduced me to freedom. And they got the same kick out of it that I still get. I love sharing that with people.
And so what would you say to the people out there that are watching now to give them that, to get that reaction from them? How would you open their eyes to those possibilities?
The first thing I'd ask you is 2 basic questions to find out whether or not freedom is for you. And the first question is, do you believe government is too small, about the right size, maybe needs a couple changes, or too big? And whatever you decide is fine. I'm a libertarian. I'm not going to try and force you to take a point of view. And most people say, I think government's too big. Then I ask a second question. Do you believe taxes, not just yours, but everybody's, are too low? You're not paying enough? You selfish, greedy person, you need to pay more. Do you think you're paying about the right amount? Maybe needs a couple of changes, but about the right amount. Or do you think taxes are too high? Do you know, if you answer the questions, I believe government's too big, and I believe taxes are too high, call 1-800-ELECT-US and get information about the Libertarian Party, because they're people that share your values and want to cut government down to size. They believe it's too big, too bossy, too nosy, too expensive, too abusive, and too intrusive. And they believe your taxes are too high, and that if you could keep your money, you could be more generous with your family, you could do all those things you've ever wanted to, you could help those in need, and your life would be better. So if you want to reduce everybody's taxes, and you want to bring government down to size, and you want to make government small, then you ought to call 1-800-ELECT-US. If that isn't your cup of tea, if you say, I like the ideas but I don't like politics, come to the Advocates for Self-Government website. It is absolutely excellent, or an organization I belong to, the Center for Small Government. Look up Small Government is Beautiful on Google, or the Center for Small Government, and click, and we'll tell you about the ideas. You don't have to have a PhD to learn about it. Anybody who can add 2 and 2 or tie their shoes can understand the difference between freedom and compulsion. And I think you're going to like the ideas. You're going to want to live in the world where your friends and neighbors are free, where taxes are so low you barely notice them, where government's so small it doesn't meddle in your life or your family, but it's big enough to protect your children against people that might do them harm, or your neighbors against someone who might do awful things. A government that defends your life, liberty, and property, and then leaves your family alone. And if that's your idea of what a good world would be, come take a look, because here's the benefits to you. A higher standard of living for you and all your neighbors. More choice for you and all your neighbors. And more responsibility for you and your neighbors. And most important, all your neighbors are more responsible. Wouldn't you like to live in a world where everybody up and down your street was a thoughtful, responsible neighbor? That's what we're offering with small government, individual liberty, and personal responsibility. Come to the Center for Small Government. I think you'll like what we've got.
So, you talked about people who don't like politics, and I think that maybe there's a lot of people out there that don't like politics, and we're kind of the party for them.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I mean, if you don't like the politicians, what they have to say, if you look at the Republicans and the Democrats, and you don't like it, you know, you don't like politics, you don't like the attitude, you don't like the meddling, you don't like the know-it-allism, the fact that they think that they can run your life and the world better than somebody else, or you can. I think that maybe we're the party for them. You know, there's always I always hear a law that's going to be proposed, be ended in this country. Do you ever see the health care crisis solved? We never see these problems be solved. But yet when you listen to the media, first, you know, you have the president's going to have a speech, you know, the State of the Union. They say, first the politicians, the reporters are talking about, what is he going to say? Then they show what he said. Then they talk about what he said afterwards. They analyze it.
Yeah.
Nowhere do they talk about what bill he signed those weeks and what those bills actually did and whether or not those laws actually worked. And I think when people start to concentrate on that, maybe we'll get a lot more traction. What do you think?
I think you're right. If you want to understand big government, you don't need to read a lot of books. All you have to do is get up early on Saturday morning and see a Roadrunner cartoon. Wile E. Coyote with the next Acme product is big government with the next program. You know, every time that coyote gets a new Acme product, it looks great on paper. The blueprints tell you it's going to be the best program ever. And you know doggone good and well that that atomic-powered roller skater, that hang glider that he's got, or that weird tunnel that he's painting in the side of the wall, he's going to get folded, spindled, mutilated, crushed, bust. He's going to fall over the side of a cliff with a boulder careening on his head. That's big government programs. And you know that, Roadrunner? That's you and me. All we want to be left is free as a bird. And you know, the next time someone offers you big government, you just tell them I said beep, beep.
That will close.
Thanks
a lot. We'll see you next time on the Libertarian Alternative.
Don't give up, learn to live, show the world you're painted in. The colors there are so deep and rich. Who could resist this magical chill? Don't give up.